Hello, I'm Jallomoth, and though you may mistake me for one, I'm not really all that into Pokemon. Despite that, it's something that's been ever present throughout the last 20 odd years of my life. And unless you've been living under a rock or a creature that looks like one, you know just what I mean. So, before you call me a poser, no, I've never played any of the games and have never really been much of a Nintendo person in general. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't enjoy parts of the anime as a kid and wasn't at least mildly addicted to collecting the cards at one point, like every other person my age. But why is that? It's not like I or anybody else knew how to actually play that damn game. Card games somehow found a way to suck more than board games, and that's just shocking. The reason I loved these bright, shiny cards though was, yes, maybe a little artificial rarity and a company gaslighting me into practically gambling for pieces of cardboard, but I'm gonna instead say that it's because I'm a character artist, which hopefully overpowers my nature to be a hater. This may sound a little mean, but Pokemon to me is not much more than a big glorified roster of hundreds of little funky dudes. Now, is that a bit dismissive of the whole franchise? Oh hell yeah. But Nintendo is so maniacally evil that they probably own the rights to this video through name alone. In fact, they do. But I gotta hand it to the evil corporation this time, guys. Some of these designs are insanely good, and not just incredibly influenced, but vastly influential as well. It almost makes me want to try my hand at it. What if I sat down and drew myself, the Mothman, as every Pokemon type? It would probably take forever and get really boring. But luckily, Pokemon can have two types. So if I make some dual type combos, I only have to draw 9 pretty pictures instead of 18. And I like the sound of that. So I spent a terribly long and grueling 4 minutes thinking which types I wanted to pair together from my list, and I ended up with something like this. Here are the 9 Mothmen I'll be bringing to life today. So where should we start? With the OG, of course! My intention with this first design is to make something reminiscent of the Mothman of Legend, so the typing I quickly landed on was Dark Bug. Now, this wasn't something I knew until my drawing was nearing completion, but there's only one Dark Bug Pokemon. This guy, named Lokix. I've never heard of him, but now that I have, gotta say, this is fucking awesome. Good job, Nintendo. What if Nintendo was called Game Freak and instead of copyrighting people's art, they sucked toes and ate it? Now, I will say, I'm not gonna be necessarily trying to emulate the exact art style of Pokemon, because, let's be honest, that's not even something that they're even super interested in keeping consistent, so who cares? I really wasn't so sure on what to do with the coloring, so I decided to take some inspiration from the aforementioned Lokix, OG Murkrow, and Wo-Chien, another cool critter that I've yet to see up to this point. The last time I was in the Pokemon sphere, they were dropping shit like the key ring and the swords and stuff. When did these get so awesome? That's kind of intimidating, but also inspiring. I'll have to make my designs be able to stack up. My approach here was that not much is known about the Mothman of West Virginia folklore. We've got bright red eyes and a shadowy creature cloaked in mystery. I decided to run with that idea and make the creature's wings resemble a cloak. He's got his wings down, shielding his body, sort of like an owl, which hopefully drives home the whole dark vibe. Something I used as inspo here is that moths have an acute connection to the moon. They're mostly nocturnal, they use the moon to navigate, there's just Luna moths, etc, etc. So I adorned this moth's cloak with moons and stars. The ribbon around his neck is mainly just for visual interest, but I quickly noticed during the design process that this wasn't really screaming bug to me. It didn't seem too evenly matched with the dark aspects, at least. So, to remedy that, I gave it these very alien bug-like eyes, and decided that these ornate pearls around his coat could be turned into jewelry centipedes. I masked everything off and added some cool shading that I surely won't regret doing because it means I have to do it to all 8 of the other designs. And after 1 hour and 17 minutes, our first Mothman Pokemon was done. Something I know damn well about Pokemon is that none of their sizes make any goddamn sense. See these guys? They're both taller than you. Meanwhile, some shit like this is like 2 feet tall. I'm not getting down with that. This dude is 6 foot, 7 if you count the antenna. Please be patient with me, because I gotta divulge a little bit, because I may never get to make a Pokemon video again, so I need to get this off my chest now. I've always hated that badass Pokemon never actually get to be tall. Floatzel should be human-sized, and he's 3 feet 7 inches. Lucario, 3'11". Girder, 3'11". These two here are the same size. What about the giant haunted tree? Oh, 4'11"? Motherfucking Charizard, 5'7". You know who else is 5'7"? Deoxys, Empoleon, Crabominable, Coffeegrigus, and Tom Cruise. I am more than a foot taller than this, that, and a giraffe. Kevin Hart is 6 inches taller than all of these. My biased least favorite though has got to be what they did to Regigigas. I mean sure, 12 feet is a hell of a lot more than the average Pokemon gets. But there's no way this dude shouldn't be at least 20 feet tall. He should be like 200, but whatever. At least Blaziken is 6'3". At the end of the day, the dark bug is probably going to be our biggest Mothman of the video. I wanted to start with a bang, something tall and imposing, and I don't really have any plans to make a Mothra. I really wish that I could think of an awesome name and a Pokédex entry for this guy, but that would mean I gotta commit to doing that for all the others, and I don't got it in me right now. But if you leave a comment suggesting a name or some lore for any of these guys, I'll leave it a heart so everyone can see it. Our second typing of the day is Fire Steel, another combo only seen once so far in the world of Pokemon. Seriously? Aren't there over 1,000 of these things at this point and Heatran is still all by himself? Don't worry buddy, I'll make you a friend. What compelled me to choose Fire Steel for my second matchup was none other than the Mothman statue in Point Pleasant. I mean, come on, I gotta make a Steel Mothman anyways, so how could I not? And fire just seemed natural because guess how they make metal statues? I was hoping that I'd make better pace on the coloring of this second one, but I knew that it would be far more of a challenge in the rendering department with, you know, having to draw wings of fire and all. All things considered though, it only took me a few more minutes than the first to finish this one up. Something that I may get roasted for in the comments is that instead of getting good with pressure sensitivity, I just destroy pen nibs and painstakingly erase away all my edges so that the points are crisp as hell. I just think it's so satisfying. The coloring on this one was more straightforward. After just one of these, I was already sick of pulling up references for colors. Plus, I wasn't even really proud of my rendering on that first one. From here on out, I just decided to go with my instincts on what color decisions to be made. Except, when given an opportunity to make fire blue, you gotta go ahead and do it. Blue fire is hotter, so it's automatically cooler. Wait. In the size department, this one is definitely like half the size of the first one. I think I subconsciously really channeled Sableye in this drawing, which wasn't on purpose, but I also don't hate it. It kinda reminds me of how Clefairy and Gengar have a lot of similarities, same with Genesect and Kabutops, Scyther and Scizor, or even Ditto and Mew. See, I know some shit. How would a Gem Goblin turn into a flaming cursed cryptid statue? That's for you to theorize. But honestly, by the end of Speed Paint 2, I wasn't really all too happy with where our final design had landed. But luckily, I hadn't merged all the layers yet like I always do, and decided to swap the color of the wings. Shout out orange and blue, gotta be one of my favorite color combos. This made the blue elements pop way more, and that extra color tone and the subtle orange rim lighting is just what this needed for it to stop feeling so bland. Here he is next to his big brother. Aww. Third up to bat is our Water Dragon Mothman. Some of these look very alien-like with these thin limbs and giant eyes that I've chosen to give them, but hey, our cryptid's not a little alien. As if Wings of Fire weren't enough of a headache to draw, you know I had to do Wings of Water too. TBH though, I had quite a fun hour and a half of coloring this one. I have a tendency to really rush myself when I'm recording, but I just tried to relax, breathe, and listen to the soothing sounds of LS Mark rank every American Dad episode. I love American Dad, I had to see his takes. Wasn't disappointed, honestly. It was pretty good. Pretty much my whole life I've hated the idea of shading, but once you realize how easy and forgiving it is to shade things digitally, it becomes more of a fun challenge trying to figure out how the shadows would interact with the shape and less of a bother. Now, are my shadows realistic or even accurate? No. But shading can enhance the look of a piece so much that I just had to go for it. Adding these bubbles was incredibly therapeutic. Do you think this thing is dragon coded enough? I think I got the water part down. I mean, this guy looks like slippery as hell and aquatic in general, but the idea of a water dragon was so fun that I couldn't pass it up. Does mine look super dragony like Charizard? No, but it's more dragony than a lot of other water dragon Pokemon like Kingdra, Palkia, and this thing, so I think I'm okay. Plus, what? Charizard isn't even a dragon type. Man, Nintendo, you really got this shit all fucked up, don't you? Whatever, mine's got red eyes, dragon wings, a lizard tail, spines, a mythic crystal, need I say more? Dragon. He counts. I happen to think he's really cool. Here he is, let's add him to the family. Aw, it's growing. These are my Eevees. These are my children. One of the quicker ones here with just shy of an hour to color is this lovely electric grass Mothman. He's so cute. I really went full owl mode with this one. Yes, I know what Mothman looks like. I'm sorry I keep making him an alien dragon owl statue, whatever. I gotta experiment here. Plus, a Mothman of the forest with powers of electricity just scrum owl to me. I don't really have a ton to say here though. I started playing with gradients, anything that I could have possibly made a leaf, I made a leaf, and I had a good time. And for once, there are some electric grass Pokemon for God's sake. Like these two balls, a lawnmower, that's it. Wait, that's it? Neither of these are even original form Pokemon. You're telling me there isn't one base standard electric grass? I'm going insane. This guy looks pretty regal. Royal even. It's probably that big extravagant collar with the gold clasps, or just the fact that owl-shaped characters have a tendency to look wise. This one ended up being a little more simple and kinda cutesy than the rest. It really gives me Middle Evolution vibes. I could see this one being a grass starter even, if it wasn't for the dual type. I just couldn't fight the feeling that this one was a little bland, but I think the devil is in the details, and once I added some shading and some final touches, I'm proud of the outcome. Compared to the others, I definitely want this one to be a tiny little feller. Statistically, each one of these should be at least one of your favorites, right? So tell me in the comments which one you'd pick. Our next one is definitely mine. Yeah, I won't lie, I pick favorites. And when presented with the opportunity to make an ice-fighting Mothman, you got to seize the moment. How often do you get to do such a thing, let alone get paid for spending your time doing that? I have a strong love for luchadors and masked fighters in general, so that, along with the Ice Cube boxing gloves, was just instantly visualized in my mind. I could see this as clear as day before I even drew it into existence. What I couldn't predict though was the colors that I'd use to render it. But with eyes like this, it just felt like the natural path to go the Spider-Man route. I did try other color combos, but nothing seemed to be as good of a design choice as this. Plus the red and blue contrast really exemplifies the fighting ice, so that's my justification for drawing an ice-themed Mexican wrestler, Spider-Man, Mothman. I don't usually give my luchador characters capes, but I think that adding that was a smart way to sort of emulate the shape of his wings. As always though, the detail phase is where it all comes together. I only make art at all to get to this one point at the end. I love adding dots and lines and glitter that shines, and damn, this belt was fun to do. Ayo, check out the clinically insane method I chose to shade this one. It took a lot of touch-ups, but I truthfully got the end result to a place I was more than happy with. If you're like me and you're curious about what other Pokemon are fighting ice, it's Crabominable, it's just Crabominable, it's just Crabominable. How are this many typings so rare? I seriously put little to no thought into what typings I chose. I just did what felt right. I mean, I'm glad to be filling out the ecological niches of the biology of Pokemon, but I'm seriously baffled with the results right now, I won't lie. Is there something I'm missing? Our sixth contestant today is Psychic Rock. I won't lie, all of the combos from here on out, this one included, was just chosen on a whim. The other ones I knew like roughly what I'd do, but these ones I was just like, he'll figure it out in the future. So when it came down to drawing a Psychic Rock Mothman, my first thought was, okay, they're psychic and they're using telekinetic powers to lift rocks, I guess. I mean, come on, we've all seen it. We've all seen a little freak lift a rock here or there. Design-wise though, this one really wasn't all that based on Yoda. It was really based on those guys that use farts to travel through space from All Tomorrows. I was thinking, if this thing has telekinetic powers, why would it need wings? So that's the reason I put these big hole punches through the wings to show that they aren't really doing much, They're either vestigial or they're just for show and are used in some sort of mating ritual or something. I wanted this one to be cute, so I gave her these little sparklies on her eyes, but it kind of just looks like the salt crusted on Mr. Krabs' eyes in the morning. Screw it, I'll leave it. Once again, if you're curious about the Psychic Rock Pokemon like I was, there's Lunatone, Soul Rock, and Iron Boulder. So this combo is not as rare as the others, but like 3, really. It only took me 30 minutes to fully color the moth, and the other 25 minutes was me rendering the rocks. For some reason I was worried about doing this, but it was superbly calming. Soon enough, I was in the place that athletes commonly refer to as the zone. I hate to be a broken record, but this one really wasn't giving off the vibe I wanted it to, but after adding the glow of the antenna, it became immediately more visually clear that these rocks were being lifted by her big beautiful mind. And from there on out, it just came together more and more. A few color tweaks and cleanups, and we're left with this. Here she is with the squad, sort of the oracle of the group, always has some sage wisdom to offer the smoke sesh. Honestly, I feel like half of these give off that energy though. Mothmen are just kind of wise in general, don't mean to toot my own proboscis, but hey. Since the beginning, poison flying was definitely the least developed in my head, by far. I had virtually no ideas. But then, my secret admirer said that the poison drips look a lot like the flares on Lunamoth's wings. What a chef's kiss idea for my least inspired one. Quite literally all I knew about this was that I wanted it to be transparent, so I threw together some loose line work and tried to start. So I'm a level with you here. Art isn't always easy or even all that fun. I was honestly really tired, daunted, and overwhelmed when I was starting this one, but I just pushed on through and did my best. I mean, surely it can't end up being all that bad, right?
That's odd.
Game over, yeah!
A quick rage quit and 2 completely heartbreaking Binding of Isaac runs later, and I tried again. This time I decided to actually try to make some line art instead of just trying to conjure it out of my head like a goddamn projector, and that felt so much easier to start. It was an opportunity to dip my toe in, whereas before it felt like I dove into the deep end and a down current sucked me into a sewer. I blocked in a pink tone and started adding some bubbles, and I was off to the races. In retrospect, this does kind of look more like a bubblegum, bubble buddy ass alien Pokemon more than, what I was really intending, but I just love pink. I kept intermittently trying to hue shift it green, but I could never make it look good. I added these ominous dark stones floating in the poison. I don't really know why. I associate poison with evil and was just trying to make it slightly more intimidating, I think. I was originally thinking about putting a skull in there, like a human skull. I thought that would really sell the poison vibe, but in my sketches it always just looked way too busy. Every drawing has dozens of little micro challenges like this. Maybe I should have fought for it a little harder. Maybe I should have made it a skull. Maybe I should have made it green. But honestly, the more I do this, the more I'm trying to stop worrying about being so on the nose with the types. I mean, clearly that's not how Nintendo operates. And if they don't hold themselves to that standard, why should I? Other poison flying creatures include Zubat, Golbat, and Crobat. Just 3 again, huh? And all in one line. What the hell are coughing and wheezing if not poison flying? I'm really starting to think that my brain is wired wrong for choosing such rare types. Can somebody do the math of what the odds are that any Pokemon type exists? Because there's no way every combo is this rare. I'm sorry, this video has become a little repetitive. Let's wind down with a satisfying bubble shading time lapse. I've got to give a quick thank you to my Emperor Moth patrons like Gambit, Hoops McCann, Noisy PETA, Rowboat, Canooty, and Isaac the Ink Master. Thank you to all my patrons really because they voted for this video. Every 2 or 3 uploads I take like 20 or so of my video ideas and I let them choose what comes next. So if you want to say in that too, and also early videos, you can head to jallomoth.com or check out my Patreon link down in the description. Thanks! If you're wondering what these balls are, I don't know, poison? Let's get these last 2 done. I'm ready for bed. Moths sleep during the day, and it's like noon right now. Our second to last Mon is this adorable little ghost ground. Surely everybody else thinks that having a ground type is pretty redundant, right? I mean, ghost instead of dark and dragon instead of flying already feels kind of shoot in, but this really rubs me the wrong way. Like, okay, I guess since it's ground and not rock, I'll just use bigger rocks. Despite this one being something that nobody asked for, I actually had a really fun time making it. I had no clue I was such a big fan of shading rocks until now, but this kicks ass. It's easy, and all the different shapes leads to getting some great practice. I'm really having fun again. It's pretty much obligatory at this point, so let's check out the Ghost Ground Pokemon. Sandygast and Palisand, Galarian Yamask, Golett and Golurk, and this Runerigus guy. Seriously? Ghost Ground is the type that breaks 5 Pokemon? I gotta admit, I like all these guys though. Good vibes, this could totally be somebody's team. And after some color shifting, some cute little stems, and spending 20 minutes trying to figure out how to put wings on this fucking lizard I just made, we end up with this. Okay, we need to hurry up and make the youngest brother here so that they can fly off to go torture small town civilians together. Every fall, the Mothman do this. They all migrate from their caves and mansions to come petrify some old ladies working at 7-Eleven. It's all in their cycle. Except this last one. He's a sweetie. Now, the design of this one just kind of felt natural to me, like second nature. Normal fairy, by the way. He's a beautiful fairy, and he's rather normal, I'd say. There was really nothing to this one. Some soft gradients, that classic green jacket, a little bit of swag, details, 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 color match, details, fix that shit, leg shine, eye shine, antenna shine, make them sparkle. Use the most it ain't stupid if it works shading method of all time, pull it back a little bit, and there we go. The most normal fairy you've ever seen. It feels good to have the whole family together. I think I succeeded in what I was trying to do. I really like the variety I was able to get here. I like that some of them look like they're from single evolution lines, some of them look like second evolutions, maybe even some thirds. And I've got a lot of favorites here. The most personal might be the normal fairy. The cutest, I gotta give to the ghost ground. My favorite one in terms of actual Pokemon designs are definitely these three by far, leaning towards this middle one. But I also love the dark bug. I think I kind of messed up the rendering. It looks a little too blown out and perhaps too dark compared to the rest, but his aura just wins to me. He's definitely the most likely one whose design I would steal to turn into an OC, and probably will. Who wound up being your favorite? Let me know in the comments, or in my Discord server, which will be down in the description. Thanks again to my patrons and my one single YouTube member. You guys are killing it. I hope you liked this journey into something that I've never talked about before. That will be a recurring theme on this channel if you're new here. Welcome, and goodbye. Stay curious.